And welcome to the show. What's going on, everybody? It's having a wonderful night. We're doing the State of the Union tonight. We have the State of the Union going on right now, where Trump is shoving basically confetti up everybody's butt, and basically everybody's farting it out. I did a hour over on YouTube Live, and that video will be shared. But my initial State of the Union is we need to work on housing. 4.5% interest rates should be, is, in my opinion, a good place to start. Lowering property taxes across the board, but that's a regional thing. Not going into any crazy wars, even though we need to saber rattle. But if it's not in our backyard, don't worry about it. Handle ourselves publicly and more responsibly. Stop talking about people and start taking action. Stop being jealous. That is the State of the Union. We are a bunch of jealous, spoiled brats that want what everybody else has. But for the most part, we're not willing to work for it. We are we're so stuck in this feminine politics. Feminine politics. Basically, dudes talk about stuff and women talk about people. We have a bunch of dudes talking about people instead of stuff. And they're stuck in that I want, what have you done for me lately mentality. When no one's supposed to do anything for you. You're supposed to do it for yourself. That's where pride comes in. You're supposed to have self-pride, self-influence. You're supposed to look up to people, not look down to people. You're supposed to look up to yourself and not be jealous of your neighbor. And basically root for victories, not root for other people's losses. That is a good State of the Union. Another good State of the Union is to basically vote with your dollars. You know that there is a controlling pedo class because their main fixture has been exposed and basically blackmailed thousands of people, and Diddy blackmailed thousands of people. So knowing that and knowing what I just said about focusing on regional politics instead of what's happening, clear across the planet to people that you're never going to meet. But you don't want that to happen in locally, so you have to start focusing locally. You have to start focusing on your school districts. You have to start focusing on your property taxes because that will bring down rent. If you can get property taxes down, that will bring down your rent. That's just the way it is. Because for every cup of coffee, they say there's 7 different taxes in every cup of coffee. That's intense. That's extreme. And having your local cities raise their minimum wage to $19 an hour, that is killing your local markets. That is killing your restaurants. That's killing your local businesses. And that's what they want to do. And as far as the Democrats and the illegals, they use that as congressional seat replacement. Because in all these blue states, they piss off the people who actually live here and pay taxes. They move out, and then they bring in the illegals to keep those congressional seats. They don't really care about them as voters. They want those congressional seats, and then they want their kids to vote Democrat, and then eventually maybe slip them in a legal ballot under the door. But they want the kids to actually vote. They just want the people there as a population replacement to keep their congressional seats. And the Republicans want the people there for cheap labor. Because as I said in the longer video, only 40% of U.S. households actually pay taxes. 40%. 40%. The average retirement age is 60. Social Security is like 67. People are living to like 80 plus years old. So they're on the government's dole for almost 20 years. And everybody's complaining about the national debt being $38 trillion. $8 trillion of that in the past 20 years has just been wars. And feeding the military industrial complex, which is too big to fail. And almost rightfully so, because if it does fail, we don't have a military backbone. And as far as the long game, we are still a tool of the British banking cartel to basically be the war dog. So we have to have the military spending, and it drives me nuts that people talk about, oh, well, they got free health care over there. They got this, they got that. They don't have a military. They have a smaller population. They are small countries. Everybody compares the United States to European countries that have a half to a quarter the size of the population. And they don't take into consideration the tax rates of those European countries. They don't. And it's the same people that call the United States a democracy when it's really a constitutional republic. But those are also the people, for the most part, put their heads in the sands and ignore everything and only show up 2 to 4 years. And they are pretty much a part of the problem. They're the ones that call everybody conspiracy theorists. And when news actually comes down, they put their head in the sand and act like they were always right. That is the State of the Union. That is the State of the Union. We have more people caring about the foosball than the political ball, the nuclear football. And we should be caring about the school boards. We should be caring about regional ball. You should be caring about your property taxes, because that is what makes everything expensive. And when they talk about affordability, in California, they don't talk about the cost of gas. When you hear low-income housing, you hear money laundering. You hear a problem that they caused to basically force people to live in low-income housing by killing opportunity with taxes and drugs and money laundering. That is my opinion. That is the State of the Union. And if you look at a lot of these heavily blue states, they have record drug overdoses. That is the State of the Union. And it just goes on and on. I don't want to make this video too long, because I already did 56 minutes on a live cast on YouTube, which, as I said, I'm gonna bring it to Rumble and YouTube shared. This is a little shorter one, but we have to, as I said, we have to start thinking regionally and take care of ourselves, not worry about other people. And in order to take care of other people, you have to be able to take care of yourself. You can't take care of yourself. How can you take care of somebody else? And what a lot, in my opinion, a lot of married people also have to do is stop taking advice from single people, because they're single for a reason. They're on their own journey. Stop taking advice from people who say, well, you could do better. Well, you could do better. How do you know? You're not doing anything with anybody. That is the State of the Union. Stop thinking in the what have you done for me lately, instead of what can I do for myself now. That is a good State of the Union. And I'm going to close out with that. Not what has someone done for me lately, what can I do for myself now? How can I build myself up instead of expecting someone else to do it for me? Because in the end, the only people who really ever give a crap about you, and rightfully so, is your mother and father. Everybody else, brothers and sisters, okay, husbands and wives, they the good ones stay along for the hard times, but most of them bounce. And friends are very hard to come by because most of them are transactional. So that's why it's so important to be able to help yourself and focus on yourself and build yourself up. I'm not saying disappear, become a different person, and go, just join a pyramid scheme or a Ponzi scheme. No, build yourself up. Build your own self-worth. Your self-worth. And as far as the housing market right now, I would my personal opinion, don't sue me, bro. Not financial advice. I would skip the whole I want to buy a house mentality to I want to buy a business mentality, because we have a lot of people retirement. We have a lot of people walking away from their businesses right now because they are aging out. Look into something called a Rob's transfer, where you can use your 401k to turn it in to another retirement program transfer into a corporation and use the corporation to buy a business. I did that. I own a car wash. That's why I'm quasi-retired. I worked at a job for 25 years and I was able to quasi-retire. And I get the rest of my retirement in a year and a half. But look into a Rob's transfer, because the SBA, for every $10,000 you have, they will lend you $100,000. Everybody hates their job. Everybody looks in the mirror and says, I gotta go to my job today. You have $10,000 at the bank, you can borrow $100,000 and go buy a business. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, folks. The wheel's already spinning. That is the State of the Union. Make your community great again. And let Trump talk about the economy and all this fun stuff, but make your self-worth great again. Not about making Iran great again and making them, bringing them back to the table, man. It's about making your community, yourself, better again. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Hit that share button. And if you want a tip, leave me a tip. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching.